January 11th, 2018, and you're listening to The Choice FM, where it doesn't matter where you come from, but where we can go together. The show will begin in a moment. Again, hello and welcome to the Choice FM podcast. I'm FD Gifford, and I will be the host of the show for your next 15 or 20 minutes or so. Now, if you are new, I hope this show will soon become a favorite. And if you get some value of our regular broadcasts, please hit the subscribe button so you will be notified of our next episode's release. As you may know or may not know, the Choice FM podcast is my primary broadcast vehicle and is hoped to be only a part of the YWNH Media Company. Those of you who are new to the community, this show is intended to be distributed at least once a week, more than likely more often, and I plan to cover the important topics of our time and how they impact our daily life and the lifestyle from a health and wealth perspective. The Choice FM content is a combination of reporting news and information as found and determined by the show's editors, along with their review and commentary. I invite you to join me each episode, share the broadcast with your friends and family, post comments, and maybe someday join us on air, either as a call-in or guest. Now let's kick off the show. Today I wanted to share with you my take on a few of the top headlines in the healthcare and or small business sector in the news. I've selected healthcare in the news this week for two reasons. First, health and the care thereof is a core part of my company's focus. And this week, we also have the annual J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference, which is being held in San Francisco. Given that healthcare makes up about 17% of the U.S. gross domestic product, key indicators of change coming in the healthcare areas are often reported this week. For example, CNBC reporter Meg Terrell reported out that this, quote, the biggest week of the year for investors in the biotech sector, end quote. This year is no exception, with CNBC reporting a multi-million-dollar acquisitions. This business as usual for the summit, which draws thousands of investors, executives, and analysts to San Francisco each January. On everyone's mind this week, will the U.S. tax overhaul spur acquisitions? And will the president once again attack the industry for its pricing practices? Clearly, every sector of the U.S. economy will benefit from the tax overhaul. Healthcare companies have shown to be positively impacted based on their press releases to date. For example, just consider this story via Bloomberg.com from Cynthia Coons and Jared Hopkins titled, Eli Lilly's CEO says tax reform may lead to more successful deals. The drug maker announced it, quote, wants to build up its pipeline in cancer and diabetes, end quote. The CEO, Dave Rick, said the recent changes in U.S. tax policy will help the drug makers lower its global tax burden as he continues to look for deals in areas like oncology, end quote. The article continues by, as reported, that Lilly's global tax rate will be lowered slightly as a result of the changes that President Donald Trump signed into law in December. The next investment, the next plant we build, the next lab we will build, we can make this decision without so much worrying about what the tax rate is, and rather where the talent and the market we want to serve and best way to do that, end quote. All this is great news for Big Pharma and or their investors. How might this impact you as a healthcare consumer? For much of us, this comes in the form of the interface with your health insurance or healthcare providers. As reported out this week in this story on thehill.com by Jesse Hellman. The title is A Big Tell with, quote, Profits Outlook Brightens for Obamacare Insurers. As this article goes on, the Obamacare doomsday scenario that many Republicans and Democrats predicted in 2018 is unlikely to come to pass, with insurers having adapted to the uncertainty that marked President Donald Trump's first year in office, end quote. The insurers who decided to stick with Obamacare after the tumultuous 2017 are likely to have a relatively profitable year, analysts and experts predict, for reasons including higher than expected enrollment, end quote. I think the fact that enrollment is better than expected is good for insurers that really concentrate on the subsidized populations, said Catherine Hempstead, who directs the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's work on health insurance coverage. Quote, Trump canceled key Obamacare payments to insurers called cost-sharing reduction subsidies, which reimburse them for giving discounted deductibles and co-pays to lower-income customers. In addition, the administration also slashed Obamacare's marketing budget for open enrollment by 80%. Quote, so far, many parties look to be wrong. 8.7 million people signed up for Obamacare plans for 2018, about 500,000 fewer than last year. Insurers adapted to changes, raising premiums to make up for the expected loss of premiums. The article even confirms its report by suggesting that, quote, analysts at Goldman Sachs and S&P Global Ratings and AM Best are predicting a profitable and stable 2018 for insurers, including a quote from that says AM Best revised its outlook for the insurance industry to stable from negative, noting that insurers have adapted to recent challenges and improved earnings, end quote. Based on this article, quote, the insurers must likely be seeing gains such as Satan, CareSource, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. While citing a Kaiser Family Foundation analysis of a recent third quarter data found insurers were gaining profitability and the markets were continuing to stabilize, end quote. Cynthia Fox, director of the program for the study of health reform and private insurance at Kaiser, is quoted, "We are still expecting 2017 to end up being a profitable year for many insurers in the individual market despite the loss of cost-sharing payments," end quote. Suggesting that insurers could also stand to benefit from an effort in the Senate to include cost-sharing reductions in the upcoming spending deal being moved on a bipartisan basis. This effort would fund Obamacare's cost-sharing reductions for 2 years and provide billions of dollars to states to help stabilize reinsurance programs which help insurers and the cost of covering high-risk individuals, end quote. While there are analysts that, quote, warn the potentially negative effects recent and future action could have on the markets, end quote. The tax law Trump signed at the end of the year eliminated Obamacare's mandate, end quote. This could lead insurers to decide they don't want to participate in Obamacare's exchanges in 2019 without the mandate, which was intended to lower costs and prevent people from waiting until they were sick to buy coverage, end quote. Well, others doubt the repeal of the mandate will have much impact on the marketplaces or the number of people who enroll. Moving on to the next story that caught my eye, I hope this will become a trend, as I found over on northwestgeorgianews.com. This story by Diane Wagner is titled, Healthcare Task Force Sets Priorities. Huffstetler moving legislation to combine agency data for a comprehensive analysis. Of course, the links to all the stories are attached to the pages that support this broadcast. Basically, this is a local story highlighting the possible beginning of a grassroots movement on healthcare. The story reports, quote, creation of a central oversight committee, council, and a research center as recommended by Georgia's Healthcare Reform Task Force. Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, quote, who convened the task force last year to address rising costs and lack of access, is reported as saying it's time for Georgia to act and take ownership over the federal government on healthcare, end quote. The focus of the task force has 4 main areas of attack. rural health care, the opioid crisis, mental health, and promoting primary and preventative care, end quote. The Georgia State Senator Chuck Hostetler, Republican of Rome, is one of the 7 members of the task force who unanimously adopted the final report. In addition, he is an anesthetist at Redmond Regional Medical Center, and he came out strongly in favor of the preventative care. I think that's where the biggest savings are, Hostetler has said. I'm in the operating room where I see, after the fact, the failure of not having preventative care and the multiple costs that could have been avoided, end quote. Another senator is reporting saying he would submit legislation in the very near future to codify the Health Coordination and Innovation Council and the Health Systems Innovation Council, where the council would act as a unifying platform to eliminate duplication of services and develop a statewide healthcare strategy. I would work with all stakeholders, defined as hospitals and other providers, employers, insurers, local governments, and consumers. That would be good news for having this local grassroots effort. Finally, turning to the nation's capital, there are several reports out confirming the confirmation process on the U.S. Senate of the new Secretary of HHS, who is the nation's top healthcare bureaucrat. This story can be found on the WashingtonExaminer.com, and it is by Philip Klein, Robert King, and Kimberly Leonard. And it is titled, HHS Nominee to Face Questions on Drug Prices and Obamacare During Confirmation Hearings. The story starts with Alex Azar, President Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, is heading into his second round of confirmation hearings this last Tuesday. He faced the Senate Finance Committee, where he has been asked about whether his ties to the drug industry will affect his ability and commitment to advance policies that will lower cost of medicines. He is expected to face questions on Obamacare during his confirmation hearings before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee. In November, Czar pushed back against accusations from Democrats that the Trump administration was working to sabotage Obamacare. Good grief. Who would ever want that job to have to go through that experience? No matter what he says, some group, some politician will not like his answers. Clearly, this type of issue, healthcare, should be handled by our state houses, not the U.S. Senate, where our founding fathers had it right under the 10th Amendment. This is the kind of activity that is best done close to home, but at least that's my opinion. Turning now to a small business topic for the week. Here are the, quote, 5 things small businesses need to know for 2018, as the article by AP was shared in the newsgannett.com and posted by the same name. Here are the 5 things small business owners need to know about or do in 2018. Number 1, taxes. The new tax law changes rates for small business owners, whether they are sole proprietors, partnerships, or corporations. But the benefits aren't across the board. Some owners will lose out on savings because they end in 2018 with income above thresholds set out under the law. Or they will work in fields like accounting, law, or consulting. Number 2, the economy. If the economy maintains the robust expansion as showed in 2017, owners' profits and their optimism should grow as well. But that may not translate into new or more jobs. Number 3, healthcare. Topic near and dear to my heart. Most companies, it reports, healthcare plans are set for 2018, but there are some changes when it comes to time to choose policies that begin later in the year for 2019. Owners who want to sign up for group insurance through the government's Small Business Health Options Program, or SHOP, must do so through a health insurance agent or broker or directly through the insurance company. They will no longer sign up through the government website at healthcare.gov. Hallelujah. However, they can visit the site and get additional information. The new tax law has ended the requirement that individuals buy health insurance starting in 2019. Some very small business owners have stopped offering health plans when the Affordable Care Act was enacted because their staffers were unable to get coverage through the health insurance exchanges. The story goes on, while businesses with fewer than 50 employees aren't required to offer insurance, some may find their staffers are interested in group insurance. Number 4, sexual harassment. Big topic in 2017. How will it play out in 2018? According to the article, human resource executives usually advise business owners to update their employee handbooks early in the year. It's the task that's got more of a priority at many companies this year following the series of reports of workplace sexual harassments. Number 5, minimum wage rises. 18 states have higher minimum wages as of December 31, 2017 or January 1. Check with your payroll administrator to make sure you are compliant. Continuing on with the small business theme, the next story via the Post and Courier.com by Mary Catherine Wildman, titled Trump Proposal to Revive Small Business Health Insurance Plans Calls Old South Carolina Battle to Mind. As you may have heard this week, President Donald Trump came one step closer this week to seeing his plan to allow small businesses to more easily band together to buy health insurance for their employees, end quote. South Carolina's top insurance regulator supports the president's intention, but history shows such health plans can be risky and have a troubled past in this state. The South Carolina experience with small business health plans centers around the state's experience with cooperative plans with financial troubles. This may or may not be a real concern for the nation as a whole. As the new rules begin to flow out from Washington, D.C., you will probably see this story last week show up. But you also realize that the United States Department of Labor announced a proposed change Thursday that would allow small businesses to purchase this coverage following an October executive order by the president. Under the Affordable Care Act, businesses with more than 50 employees must purchase health insurance for workers, generally those who are self-employed or employed by a small business, think restaurant workers, real estate agents, fishermen, need to purchase their own insurance, the story quotes. The association health plans Trump supports allows small businesses to band together, consider their employees as a pool, and thereby buy insurance as a bigger group. They could potentially do so even across state lines. The Department of Labor said Thursday these association health plans could provide a path for some 11 million uninsured Americans to become insured, end quote. The Affordable Care Act did set up a mechanism for small businesses to purchase health insurance that covered 10 essential health benefits, but those plans were too expensive for small businesses to purchase. By contrast, the association plans do not guarantee all those essential benefits, which include mental health care and women's health care, end quote. So for your information, I recommend that you go to the Department of Labor press release yourself, which also has lines and links to the actual proposed regulations. In summary, the following are the key takeaways you should know. Quoting from the press release, the U.S. Department of Labor announced a notice of proposed rulemaking to expand the opportunity to offer employment-based health insurance to small businesses through small business health plans, also known as association health plans. Up to 11 million Americans working for small business sole proprietors and their families lack employer-sponsored insurance. These 11 million Americans could find coverage under this proposal. Many small employers struggle to offer insurance because it is currently too expensive and cumbersome. these employees and their families would have an additional alternative through small business health plans, these association plans. These plans would close the gap of uninsured without eliminating options available in the healthcare marketplace. The proposed rules should offer small businesses and small sole proprietors more freedom to band together to provide affordable, quality health insurance for employees. Again, quoting from the release, the proposed rule, which applies only to employer-sponsored health insurance, would allow employers to join together as a single group to purchase insurance in the large group market. These improvements stand to open health insurance coverage for millions of Americans and their families by making it more affordable for thousands of small businesses and sole proprietors. By joining together, employers may reduce administrative costs through economies of scale, strengthen their bargaining position to obtain more favorable deals, enhance their ability to self-insure, and offer a wider array of insurance options. The DOL suggests the rule would allow employers to form a small business health plan on the basis of geography or industry. A plan can serve employers in a state, city, county, or multi-state metro area, or it could serve all the businesses in a particular industry nationwide. Allow sole proprietors to join small business health plans, clearing a path to access to health insurance for millions of uninsured Americans who are sole proprietors or the family of sole proprietors. Finally, per the release, the proposed rule includes important protections for Americans. Small business health plans, these association health plans, cannot charge individuals higher premiums based on health risks or refuse to admit employees to a plan because of health factors. The Department of Labor Employee Benefits Security Division will closely monitor these plans to protect consumers. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you got some value from this and will visit my website at YWNH Media or soon to be launched the ChoiceFM site. Again, I would be interested in your opinion on this show and the topics we've discussed. You can do that either by posting your comments below here on YouTube or on the YWNH Media page under the post. If you found this presentation valuable, please like and share it with your friends and family. Have you subscribed to the channel? Just click the button below and turn on YouTube notifications, or by joining my mailing list over on yourwellnessandhealth.com. Have a great day. We're recording this podcast today at the beautiful Carolina coast. All rights reserved. YWNHmedia.com. The music we use at the Choice FM comes from zenmusiclibrary.com.